Hello there. I wanted to share a little something as I approach my 60th birthday. And what I thought we could do is maybe steep a little wisdom together. And I'm going to share with you something I was gifted, which is my 60th birthday mug, fabulous and aged to perfection. And I'm going to take my tea, which is someone invited me to make my own tea blend, which is a kind of a funny thing. It never occurred to me to do that. But then when I started thinking about what would my tea blend have in it? Well, I love lots of things that come from the garden. I love berries and sweetness. And so nature's diamonds is what got created. And the 60th birthday is a diamond birthday. With every sip, I absorb the radiant vitality of nature's diamonds. I've got elderberry, hibiscus, currants, apple, blueberry, moringa, cranberry, raspberry, strawberry, lemon, lime. Yeah, there's a lot of great things in here. So I'm going to start this little conversation off with 60 things that life has taught me. I'm going to put it into 6 lessons rather than 60 items because I could go on for a long time. But before I start, I'd love for you to have a healing session, just as I always start my podcast. And I invite you to sip, smell, and enjoy whatever you might have while you're watching this video. Okay, that is really, really lovely. Now, let me share with you a few of the things that 60 has brought me. So one of the ideas is reinvention is always available. I always wanted to be a teacher, and my parents joked with me about I was always teaching the kids in the cul-de-sac where we lived. And I did that right from a very early age. And I became an educator, and I thought it might be in school, and that's what I wrote in my yearbook every year. But then when I got into my teens, that shifted over to dance teacher because I loved dancing. I loved Fame, and I watched every episode over and over as I could, as well as the movie. And then, of course, that led to lots of other movies in the 80s that I know you can all think of. As that chapter in my life expanded into having been married, having a family, thinking my education degree was in psychology, that I might go into psychology, I didn't. I went into dance, and I fell in love with being able to offer dance and the passion of dance for lots of people. But that didn't stay my trajectory because my body was really suffering from a lot of injuries that came from my training in my teens and the alignment that I had in my body. And so it wasn't possible for me to continue to dance. And so I started to branch out a little bit. And I went into holistic discoveries. Touch for Health became my center focus as I was finding ways that I could heal my own body and feel better. And then how could I pass that to other dancers so that they could heal and develop as well? And that led down the road to moving from Alberta, which we never imagined we would do, to Cape Breton Island because we loved the music and the dance here. And that then opened the door for me to consider retirement. In my 40s. And that didn't quite happen. I went back into dance until the pandemic. And then I had to reinvent myself yet again. And in that, my passion for Tai Chi had been weaving in and out of my healing story. And in that healing story, Tai Chi became something very foundational for how the body really functions well and the best way that I could find to find health and vitality. And that reinvented the kinds of classes that I was teaching. And then it also led to, I needed to do something else. And we had formed, Natasha Polomsky and I had formed our tea company in 2015 to help educate people in Touch for Health about the 5-element theory from Chinese medicine. And it has been a pure delight to shift my focus over to the tea and the ways that I can support people in health and wellness and thinking differently about habits in their days. So you can see how I started in one trajectory and I've weaved in and out by influences that have come from all over the world, from mentors I've been able to work with, from helping my children grow up and find their own loves and passions and build their families, and of course to my grandson, who is now dancing as well, but also finding his way to find the things that he's most passionate about. So I wanted to share a message from that journey of discovery, which is you're never too old to become more of who you are. And sometimes we get stuck in a place, and I don't think I ever really got stuck. I slowed down sometimes, and there was some challenges, but always was a step forward. And I'm very grateful to my parents and to my grandparents and great-grandparents who all strove hard to find a better way in their own lives and in their immigration and the way that they set up the way that the family would be able to be connected and together. So that leaves me to the next part, which is our bodies keep the score. We know that, but it also keeps wisdom. And as you heard about my weaving in and out, it always had to do with some kind of an injury that prevented me from continuing down the road that I was on. And it also fed me a new way to look at things and to question things. And in these last few years, I've been asking more about, is it true? So is it because I danced on cement and had shin splints that my knees don't function well? Is that the truth? Or is just that what I've been saying because it makes it easier for me to explain why it's harder for my knees to get on the dance floor for a Cape Breton square set? But as we look at these stories that we build about ourselves and the way things function or don't function and where our happiness and our vitality is, it's that journey of stress and healing and resilience. Some things like headaches and migraines, some traumas, some movement, some emotional challenges, all of those weave a story for us as well. And it's what we decide to do with it. And I think that what I've enjoyed the most about these decades is looking at the challenges I faced, the choices I made to move from that challenge into something that I would be excited about, into finding newer ways to function and to be well and to have vitality. And that journey has been such an incredible one, again, with mentors and inspirations from the family that have helped me to get there. So my message there is symptoms were often my invitations and they weren't my interruptions, even though it felt like that on many occasions. So I want to take you to something I also kind of touched on, which is presence is a real luxury. And one of the things that I've noticed about moving from the city center, we were in Cochrane, which, suburb now of Calgary, is very busy, very fast paced, very city-like. And so we have lots of things that could be distractions and we could participate in, but it wasn't always easy to be present. And I really have enjoyed moving to Cape Breton Island, to living in a rural area, to having nature around me all the time. And even though I might not get outside to enjoy all of it, I see it every day and I get to participate with it. And that has been an incredible luxury, but also a way for me to get back to my tea. Because when I'm connecting with my tea, I'm connecting with herbs. And when I'm out gathering the herbs, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful to smell them, to engage with them, to get to their essence, their spiritual essence. And as I'm picking them and drying them, to be able to feel the energy that they bring to my life and the opportunity it brings me to put them in a bowl in an incredible recipe and to be able to mix. So I wanted to talk about the importance of tea and nature, of stillness and intentional rituals, because they become a medicine for me and a way of living. And for other people to find that joy, I do hope that I've been able to inspire that. Now, I've talked a little bit about how many people have been involved in the transformations of my life over these 60 years. I'm going to have a sip. It's smelling so good, and the warmth in my hands is beautiful. So that takes me to community. And community changes everything. There's the people that we exchange with every day. There's the students I have taught over the years. So many of you, if you're listening, you may think, I was a part of Miss Michelle being in your life, but you were a part of being in my life. And it's been so incredible to watch how different people have taken dance or Tai Chi or Touch for Health or any of the healing opportunities I've been able to present, but just that interaction that we've had to learn and grow from each other and to inspire each other has been so valuable. So the people that come because of students, maybe they're a client, they've been part of collaborations. My last couple years here, leading into my 60s, I have really looked at who can I collaborate with, who can help me to grow my ideas or to nurture them in a certain way, who has skills that I don't have that can bring something totally new to the table. And the friendships that have developed as a result of looking at those collaborations has been absolutely incredible. And I feel so gifted. I live in a rural area, but I have friends all over the world who have been a part of shaping the kinds of work that I can do, the way I think, and how I can move forward. And I think if you look at how community can change everything for you, it's sitting right there. It's who are you reaching out to? Who are you mentored by? How are you inspired? Now that leads me to many, many different pathways. Not every detour is a mistake. And I chose, to go take psychology. I knew it wasn't where I wanted to stay, but my parents said, finish that degree, then decide. And that was true, because even if I changed what my major was going to be, instead of psychology, I wanted to do social work. But because I didn't, when it came down to what did I want to do, I realized that's where dance was so important in my life. I didn't take it at university, but my psychology information really fed into how I could understand students and learning challenges, and then also for me, bringing energy and vitality back into my life. So that was a great detour. Now we have this pandemic. So in the 50s for me was a complete transformation, moving me out of things I was very comfortable in, going to more online teaching, and also the opportunity. I was actually part of a collective that got to create artistic endeavors during the pandemic. It's the first time I could just sit and think, what would I want to create? Because I had the time. And with that were some incredible card decks that I use every day. And they have been so inspiring in helping me to look differently at the materials that I've been taught in a certain way, and I deliver in a certain way. But I've been able to really transform them. And that helped me to realize that's where that collaborative piece comes in, other people to work with, but also how I can advance what I've been doing as a result of thinking differently in that creative process. So not every detour is a mistake, and moments that we consider setbacks will become redirections and inspirations, and just to keep that in mind. So that moves us to number 6, what I wanted to share. Nature teaches us how to age. Look at the trees. Look at how they grow and how their stature is. And some of the most beautiful trees in the world that are hundreds of years old. What do they tell us? They tell us about lifetimes. They tell us about climate. They tell us about hardships and fires. There's so much information in a tree. And if we look at our seasons, how things change and come around and evolve, and weaves us into times of hibernation and then coming out into renewal and then enjoying the sunshine, and for me now, the beach and the ocean. We have the tides, being able to stand out in the water to do Tai Chi and to feel the power of that ocean wave and the water and how it washes over you and how good that feels and how it smells, and just the idea of being near the water, how it makes me feel coming from the prairies and the Rocky Mountains, where I did have lakes and I had waterfalls, but I didn't have an ocean. And so different kinds of water, different ways of interacting with nature. That brings me to Cape Breton and the communities that are here, the way that I have the opportunity to interact with people, to be in this rural community and to enjoy driving along the ocean every day as I'm traveling to a different location to be able to teach. It is so beautiful to help me connect again with the beauty that's around me, the sunrises, the sunsets, the flowers, the insects, my beautiful cats out playing in the yard. It's just so beautiful. So we have this renewal that can happen when we let nature show us how to age. And you don't often think of renewal and age together, but I can say that I didn't connect. I connected with nature. I camped, I hiked, I did those kinds of things. And I really was present then in my 20s and with my 20 head. But as I've gotten older and I've had to choose where I can go and what I can do, it really does show the fragility of life. It shows the sustenance, the resiliency, but also the inspiration. And so I invite you to think about how nature can teach you how to age. How can you be a part of nature? And what role is nature going to play as you move forward? Now, I wanted to just shine one more little light. Behind me is artwork that my son and my daughter-in-law created for me for the 5 elements from Chinese medicine. There's 3 layers of music with them, 3 layers of paint, and then my son tap danced that paint in very special ways according to how my daughter-in-law was able to landscape how this paint was going to come together. I have had these paintings for almost a decade, and they have inspired me in many, many ways. And I've realized how much art has played a role in all that I've done. Behind me, let me see, the covers here that you see behind me come from a trip that we took as a children's wish when my daughter had recovered from cancer. And so those remind me of fragility of life, but also the resurgence of life and the inspiration. And so I enjoy seeing the turtle there. I enjoy seeing the hibiscus, and it is so lovely to have that incorporated in other things that I do. Also, let me see where the arrow's going. There we go. Okay, that picture is from my son when he was touring in South Africa with tap dogs, and I was so proud of him to take on that incredible task and journey and to learn and grow from it, but also for him that passion he brought back to me with that piece of art in sharing a little bit of what he got to do while he was touring. Now, what you can't see is I have a painting in front of me of when I danced for my longtime friend's wedding, and the photographer actually painted a picture of me dancing. And that also, there's been so many opportunities for me to perform, to be a part of bands or performances or festivals and things like weddings, and to be able to share that love of dance and inspire others to dance too. So I just wanted to tell you that's what I look at every day in that direction. And what I look at going the other direction in my this is my office, is paintings that my daughter has done, my mom has painted, and ones that I've done with Mary and Egan for intuitive paintings. There's so many ways that art has been a part of what I'm doing. And that leads me to where I can take myself as I move through my 60s. I'm looking at neuro arts, and I'm looking at the inspirations of what the arts brings to us, because I've dabbled in so many aspects of the arts. And movement is one part of that, whether it's dance or Tai Chi, but how we live daily and how we choose to engage with color, with sounds, with textures, with smells, that makes life just so rich. So thank you for listening. And as I approach my 60th birthday, I am inspired by all of you who've been a part of this journey, and I thank you so much for making it rich. Cheers. So nature's diamonds. Like diamonds, wisdom is shaped over time. Under pressure, clarity will form. Enjoy your journey.